Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're out in nature like Starlight is, and what a beautiful morning. It's still warming up. I'm in the shade right now, and because it is really complicated to get the right lighting in these videos here, because like right now everything shifts, and at nighttime, at a certain time everything shifts. So anyway, I love you all, and I hope you're getting out like I am, out here in nature, and make some time. Put the excuses away. Come on, you can come out in nature, and you will thank me later. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you can give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say, "Hi, Starlight," by leaving me a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. Plus, you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. A giraffe and a elephant? Wow, yes, you could share my videos with them. And also, you can check out my playlist. Plus, don't forget the notifications sign, bell, and you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So there's a lot going on in the world today right now, and it's been, it's not just today, it's been going on for a really long time. And we are in a spiritual warfare, and this is the end times. In the Bible it mentions about these times that we're facing right now. And what side are you on? Are you on the side of peace, love, and harmony, or are you on the side of war and fighting? What side? Where do you see yourself? Are you about peace, or are you about war? And I'm making this video is because it blows my mind. Is the people, the president, and all these people out in different countries, where they claim to be adults, but really, to me, they're acting like children. Don't you think it's about time that they grow up and really, think about what they're doing and what this is causing, in the world right now? And, because they're acting like children, in my eyes, that is what they're, acting like, and we need to really grow up and get mature, and really understand, like what this is, what is this doing to the people, and, the children of the future. We need to be wise, and it's not about picking sides, is about, like with the presidents and all this stuff. It's about, standing up for the truth. What side are you on? The lies of this world, how we've been programmed and lied to, and, like in history, how did all these wars start? When I was younger, learning how to vote and stuff like this, it got me sick. It really did. I was, even when I was in school, it started when I was in school, even at home. There's people that get brought up with lies. Then you go to school, and then you learn more about lies. Even when you go to churches, they're lying and deceiving people. Not all, but, a great portion of them are, deceiving and lying to people. And so, like learning stuff in school about the history, and then learning about how to vote, and I didn't really learn a lot in school about voting. I was out of school at the age of 16, but I was learning, about voting. When I went to church, they were, it's kind of funny that you're not supposed to, churches or other people are not supposed to, try to get you to vote for certain presidents, but in a way they do, and that not all churches do this, but, the churches that I went to, they were really trying to get the people at the church to vote for certain presidents because they ran for certain things, and Starlight used to be that person out there fighting for abortions and stuff like that. Starlight was not on the side of killing babies, innocent babies, but God did give us a free will out in this world, is to decide, what we think is right to do. But so right now, with everything going on in the world, and this has been going on for a long time, is about these rumors of war, and we need to wake up. And what is the truth? And when I was learning how to vote long time ago, when people were, wanting to get more votes for certain presidents, I was learning that they were starting the wars. They were creating these wars, and I'm not all about that. I stand up for truth, and that is what I'm about. And there's levels to this as far as learning what the truth really is. And the truth will set you free, but what is the truth? And that's what you got to figure out on your own, is what is the truth. And we've been lied to and deceived from, like long time ago, and way in the beginning of time, is being lied to. And this world is inside out, backwards, twisted, upside down. And if you don't know that, you got to wake up to understand they set this all up, to trick us and deceive us, and to get us to have war with amongst each other. And that is not what Starlight is about. I'm all about peace. There's many times that we're not going to agree to the same stuff, but are we going in the same direction? That's what's important. And what do you stand up for? Do you stand up for, war, about fighting? Because it takes two to fight. You can't, how are you going to fight if if we don't, go out there and, to go against something? Is I am here because I know God is with me, and I am not a person to have war with anyone. I'm all about peace, and there's times I've had a person in my life where, we might not agree to the same thing, but you know what? We don't have to fight. It's okay that we have different opinions, or, there's times that we are at different levels of growth in our life. We are all family. We're supposed to be acting like family out here, but that's not how this world is. They want to start a war. They want to get you going. They want you to get distracted and focus on what's going on outside of you instead of really focusing on what's going on inside of you. There's even wars going on at churches going against each other. I've been there, fighting over the children, fighting over trying to see who can get more kids. And it wasn't, really, this is the stuff that I've witnessed, have been going through, where churches were getting upset because they were knocking on the same doors, of these families, trying to win these kids. What was that all about? Was it about money? What is it about? Is it really caring about the children and wanting to see them, change their lives and get saved and live for God? Or is it about money? Who's gonna, a lot of times they focus on the children to get to the adults, because Starlight went to church and that was what it was about. It was like, if we get the children, it was all about getting the adults, because the children really didn't have the money. I'm sorry about this background noise. So we'll pause here for a bit. They wanted to be a part of the YouTube video. So anyway, it was all about getting the children so they can get the adults, because the children didn't really have the money to go and give to the churches, where they figured, hey, we're having a hard time getting the parents to come out or adults to come out. Let's go out and knock on doors and get the children out and work on them. And then we can hopefully win the adults, to get them in the church, so then we can, get their money. And that is sad to see this stuff, and where churches were at war. And Starlight went from one cult church to another cult church, and I was knocking on doors at this church and knocking on doors on this church, and that is what it was. It was a war in the churches. God is not pleased with all this stuff that's going on in all these churches that are doing this stuff. The churches should not be at war against another church. is to fight over the children and see who's going to win and who's going to get that child out. And then there's a war going on with the churches, with the school, because now the churches are upset with the school system because they can't get the children to go to church because the school has them. Everybody's fighting over these kids because they are our future. And we need to put this stuff aside. We need to really stand up for what truth is. But what is truth? And how you're going to find out truth is when you go within, when you spend enough time, when you, instead of focusing on what's going outside of you, and these are distractions, these are things that are going to pull you outside of yourself and to get into fear mode and get worrying about stuff. And you're going to hear people that are going to want to send their children out to a war that we really don't need to send those kids out there. They've been lied to and deceived, and a lot of people that already gave their life out in the military. I've heard a lot of men and women speak up about the stuff that's going on behind the scene as far as serving our country, where they realize that they didn't care about them, these people, when they joined in the service. You're signing your life away. You're giving your life away to the government, to be used. You have a choice who you're going to serve in this world. Is it God or is it the devil? And do you think the government is really serving God? You got to ask that, because if they're taking your free will away and they're saying, hey, if you join the service, all your rights are taken away. You are government property, and if they got like the injection, they're the first ones to take it. They're going to inject those people with those injections, and that is what I was learning is that they want to get the military people to take those injections, and it's if you don't like it, too bad, because you signed those forms. Even the Hollywood people, they signed the form, they signed the contract. Their free will is taken away, and we need to come together in love and harmony and peace, not to have a war, not to fight against one another. And that's exactly what they want. They want us to divide and conquer. They want us to they want to change us into robots, to take our free will away and to take our rights away. And we need to stand, for the right in this world, for the truth in this world. And to find out what the truth is you got to go within. It's not outside of you. The truth is all inside of you. It's in our DNA. It's in our, when you do the work inside. And I have been deceived, by my family, because they were deceived, they were lied to. The school system, where they're actually, following what the government, the doctors, all these different systems out here, programs out here, even the officers out there, they've been lied to and deceived. They are all set up, in this matrix, this stimulation, to take us away from what God really wants us to be, and that's about peace. It's not about war. War has never solved anything in this reality here. I'm sorry about this background noise. So we need to stand together and love each other, and really, we're not going to agree to everything out here, but we should be wanting peace in the world for the future of the children. So those children, we need to be a voice for those kids, out there, and not to fight. We need to put that aside. That's what children do. Isn't that what your children did, is, fight? We had, if you're a good parent, did you teach your children to fight? Some parents do. They do. They actually they think it's funny. They want to see who's going to win. But, we need to grow up, and we need to put that aside. And, it's easy, for people to, hey, you did something to me, now I'm going to, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's not going to solve the problem in this world. We need to come together and put our differences aside. And, God is here. God is doing a work, whether they like it or not. And, we have to come together, and we have to work on ourselves not get distracted and pulled by what people say out in the world is by having a war and sending our children out to a war that they created in the first place, and all the money that they put out there. There could be a whole lot more that they could use that money for. There's sick people out there. There's people that are still hungry. There's homeless people living out on the streets that don't even have a place to lay their head. There's people that have addictions that need help, and they need love. They need care. It's not it's not about having that war like they want us to have, to go against each other. No, it's about putting our differences aside. And really, there's enough people that lost their lives throughout history. We don't need to lose more souls out in this world. We need to stand up for the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is out there, but you have to find out who you are and find out what your purpose is. And that is by going inside and not going out there on a side. Find out what the truth is, and that is by working on yourself, and that is when you're going to find out the truth. I had to let go of everything to go within and to learn on this journey what truth is. And it's a beautiful journey that I'm on. It's mind-blowing, and I'm learning so much more about myself and this world by going within and not looking outside. Outside is a big distraction. Outside is going to put you in a fear mode and cause you to do things that we really, we really don't need a war. Make love instead of war, really. Isn't that a better way of handling things, is not to fight? That's what kids do. So are they really grown up? I was told a long time ago I was going to give up on men when I was about 19 years old, and a man told me, you know what? Those are not men. Those are little boys you were playing with. And that's exactly what we're dealing with today, is we have a bunch of little boys out here like being presidents and all this stuff, running this world. We need adults, people that are actually gonna, be responsible and not to, play childish games, because this is people's lives and people's souls and families out here that they're messing with, So, and this is a big stage. That's what this is. This life is a stage here. It's all a big joke, and we really need to love each other and put our differences aside and, stand up for truth. We do not need a war. We need love and peace out in the world. I love you so much. So don't pick, a side, but stand up for the truth. We don't need a war. We need love and peace in this world. I love you so much. And be peaceful. You got to love yourself and forgive others, and love, don't hate other people, but, forgive those people that have done you wrong, and to let it go. Let God deal with that, instead of thinking that we got to be the ones to pay somebody back and punish somebody by acting like children. And that's exactly what they're acting like, as children. Children act like this. Adults, if you're a real adult, that's not what you would be doing. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family or friends. Some dogs and cats. And you can check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook. And that is Kathy with a K doing the Starlight. I love you all. It's all about peace and love and harmony, not war. We need to put that aside, we've had enough of that throughout our whole life. The children don't need this. Let's be a good example to the children and show them what really, love is all about. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace, not war.